Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you took time in your busy schedule, your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, to join me and reflect on this critical topic of how we define success. I really hope that this conversation provides value. I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, you have already understood what it means to overcome enormous odds because of the fact that you are even in business, and you probably had doubts from others, doubts from yourself, and things just didn't always go perfect. But I think we can go a little bit deeper and understanding what it means to reframe failure and redefine success. Before we begin and get really into it, if you could please share this room, click the share button, invite your network in, and also don't forget to go to yougrow.club. I've been talking all week about how there are these parallels between personally developing and growing yourself and growing your LinkedIn. I think that's really important that you have an opportunity to do that, and we've got one for you. Shankar and Shanae are going to be leading you on a challenge to grow for 4 days, and it's free. So just go to yougrow.club or click my face or his face, go to the profile, the link that's there. You'll be taken to a landing page where you can sign up, and then you'll get all of the notifications necessary to let you know when to start. I want to honor you, your vision and your efforts for creating what you've created. You transform lives by building what it is that you're building, whether you have a team or whether you are doing this on your own or just with a few people. It gets tough, and I know you don't embark on these journeys without fierce commitment. And so kudos to you for doing that, for building something. I think we're going to touch on our perceived failures and the roadblocks that threaten even sustaining wealth or scaling and things of that. By show of thumbs, who here has faced distressing setbacks, like missing a target, losing a star employee or employees, or investors pulling out, clients canceling, like a major client or something like that? I'll tell you a story of someone who several years ago had an exciting point in their career after studying and working internationally, was interviewed for an esteemed position, a city position, and beyond the six-figure salary, it represented the pinnacle of impact of what they aimed for. Sailed through the first rounds, awaited the final in-person meeting that would solidify the role. Callback never came. Despite being told the job was theirs, pending this formality, that last critical step didn't actualize. So they were stunned, kind of centered their entire vision of success around this opportunity. So in hindsight, this failure was a blessing in disguise because it led them down an unexpected but more fulfilling path and would become the COO of a thriving startup and eventually go on the path to becoming a millionaire. So this redirection taught me, because that person was me, our carefully laid out plans. You can have all of these ideas in your head. What do they say? Tell your plans. And God laughs at them. Even though things don't always go as planned and don't materialize, you can open doors, if you are open, that you had never anticipated before. And just like the athletes that we've been discussing all week, through mindfulness, we can reframe experiences as practice rounds, because that's what they did. Muhammad Ali, every time, if there was a fight that was lost, saw it as a practice round. When he went into the ring, the first time, he was an amateur but had the mindset of a pro. So the way you prepare your victory is by learning that success isn't a fixed destination, but it is It's a journey, and you're going to grow. Success isn't linear, and society really narrows success down to your status, your wealth, especially your job, which is what we all go against when we become entrepreneurs and business owners. We're not going to define our success by that six-figure salary promise, even the one I had when I came back to the States. And so financial stability is important, and so are promotions and accolades and big paychecks and all of that, but that's kind of the traditional notion of success. And I think we have to go beyond that and really think about what it is that we're trying to achieve and accomplish, and whether or not that is six figures or beyond, or maybe it's the time freedom, maybe it's working on something you actually like and you are passionate about, changing people on your own accord, like their lives and things like that. That is far greater success, and maybe even more than being, I think Shankar actually put out a post recently about this too. Maybe having wealth is more important to you than fame. So we have to think about what it is that we want and redefine success accordingly, and then also not misinterpret failures, because it's really our teacher, our greatest teacher. But my goal is to have us dig deep down to realize that, you reframe your failure as preparation for something far greater. So there's something greater in every failure that we experience. Every time we hit rock bottom, every time we feel like it's just not going right. There are metrics, there's things to learn. Steve Jobs, we had spoken about him a couple of weeks ago in his commencement speech at 2005 in Stanford. He really detailed his experience of being fired from Apple. And he said that was a pivotal point in his life, and that it led to his significant personal and professional growth. He explained it like this: I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. Now, if you look at the market cap, Shankar and I were looking at it yesterday. Shankar, what place does Apple hold?
Oh, I think it is number 4.
Really? I thought it was number 2 after gold.
Let me take a quick look. If you look at all across all asset classes, which is companies, precious metals, cryptocurrency. So give me a moment, I'll look it up.
Well, whether it's
you might be right.
Whether it's 4 or 2, this all came because he got fired from his company. Of course, we know he eventually came back, but it was his mindset and his actions that followed his departure from Apple that really illustrate how he used that that setback as a catalyst for all of the achievements, all of the innovations that came after that. Without that firing, there wouldn't have been Next, there wouldn't have been Pixar. Show of thumbs or hearts if you have seen a Pixar movie, or maybe your child or someone that you know. We've all been impacted, right? But it was having the beginner's mind, becoming creative. And there was also in the Muhammad Ali documentary that I was watching on the very, very long flight to Bali, because we are here, that one of his daughters saying that my father told me that it's difficult to keep striving for success in the same way when you've got wealth or you have money and you're not hungry as you were before when you had nothing. And it's true. When you are desperate, when you fail, when things don't go right, you start to become creative and innovative. If you are a true entrepreneur, you will know how to navigate yourself through any situation and always land on your feet if you don't give up. So Shankar, do you have that for us?
Absolutely. So I have it up here. It's a website called companiesmarketcap.com, and essentially market capitalization is a measure of a company's total value as determined by the stock market. So, but if we look at all the across all the different asset classes, you are absolutely right. Apple is number 2. Number 1 is actually gold, interestingly. 13 trillion US dollars gold. Number 2 is Apple, $2.9 trillion.
Imagine your company coming second only to gold. Imagine.
I mean, this by the way, I have to say this. I have to inject this because I'm so excited about this. Bitcoin takes place number 9.
Oh.
848 billion. Yeah.
So
as of yesterday.
I love this. I love this because redefining success doesn't mean, first of all, I think no one is immune to carrying at some point in their lives, whether it's their adolescence, maybe it's in your teen years, maybe it's in college, maybe it's beyond, maybe it's still now, even today, you care so much about what your parents think or your family thinks or whatever. But there is a point at which you have to understand, even if I'm seen as a reject or a failure or people just don't understand me, I am not concerned about what their definition of success is, because second to gold, that's crazy. And to think of where crypto is going and all of these things that are unconventional. And I think, so when we're talking about what success actually is, there's a few pillars. One is personal fulfillment. I know when I was in college, I had a roommate who, comes from the traditional South Indian culture. Her family is from Kerala. And there's always this pressure to be a doctor. Always this pressure to be a doctor or be in the medical field. So she went in to be a nurse. Do you know by the time we graduated, she had a 2.8 GPA? She hated everything to do with nursing and with healthcare. And the classes where I'm not even sure you can graduate with a 2.8. So I think she had to go back and take a few more classes. Meanwhile, I graduated, but so we were no longer in the same class, but that all happened because there was no personal fulfillment there. And so she found fulfillment in the arts. So, all of anything to do with arts, she would get an A, straight A. And that is not, of course, now today, if you're raising a child, they have incredible luck because we are no longer in a situation where creators of any type are seen as not going to be successful. On the contrary, like if you have a creative bone in your body and you're really good at your craft and you hone it and you're good with people and develop all of these skills, you can outperform, you can make more money than the doctors, the lawyers, or just as much. You really can. You may not be the, you'll have to obviously be the greatest, as Muhammad Ali would say, but there's a shot. Whereas before, it was always choose a career that you can eat with, not be a starving artist. But I digress. The point is, personal fulfillment really matters. And so think about what it means to go after, like you start in the basement or from nothing, from scratch, you get booted out of your own company. Or for me, like I didn't end up becoming the public health equity officer that I wanted to be with the 6-figure salary, but I'm a COO and I love what I do. And we went from me being employee number 1 to now, having a team and serving so many clients and venturing into just having new ventures. And of course, there being Shankar and Shanae. And that never would have happened if I had given up on myself. And I know that you also need to nurture your soul. And so I would say health and community impact is the second pillar. So personal fulfillment, making sure that you're not jeopardizing your mental health and relationships, but finding peace between doing what you want to do and, just really going after it and being good at it, being competent at it. Health and community, really aligning whatever it is that you do with your actual values. And, if you don't want to serve, if you don't want to be in healthcare and you find yourself in healthcare, I mean, you're not even impacting the community that you're trying to serve in the right way, because you're maybe going to be bitter or just not like it and not enjoy it. Eventually, she did end up becoming successful, and she ended up really getting having a knack in speech and hearing sciences. Turns out that she could really truly identify with that population that she was serving, and she to this day is doing really well. But I think it just takes you to reframe your failure. I think if she had gone through and been really, quote, successful and become a doctor or a nurse, she just would not have been happy. And so I think we need to be mindful and be present, sit still with our own selves, be open and curious, and not judge ourselves for making these decisions like, I'm going to go all in on crypto or Apple or whatever, and find yourself winning and being successful because you didn't judge yourself and you didn't internalize what others said, or you didn't let that setback define who you were. But it's not just...
Can I add something?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so you definitely don't have to be the greatest creator to make more than a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And, we see this every day. We have a client, her second language is English. She's already secured more than $300,000 for next year in consulting contracts, and she only has 2,000 connections. So trust me, like, the greatest creators, no matter what, at this point, will crush the income of a doctor. So you just have to be good within your niche to make more than a doctor.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And I should have elaborated on what I meant with the greatest. I mean, having the affirmation, I am the greatest at what I do, is about recognizing that you are. Like, we meet so many people, right, Shanae and Shankar, who doubt their own abilities. But it's strange. It's like they're good at what they do, but then they don't want to talk about how good they are at what they do. And so I'm like, well, you have to believe in yourself.
And she's 52, so she just started. So, you don't have to be the youngest. You don't have, English doesn't even have to be your first language. And you don't even have to have the biggest network. You just have to have the right strategy and kind of dominate the little gap based on your skills. And that's what we really help people.
Yeah, and so I feel like also inserting the idea of what a growth mindset actually is. So when you're reframing failure, if you experience it, maybe it's not that, like you're saying, you're good at what you do. You're not like the, number one whatever creator, but you're not holding on to this fixed mindset. You know that you can grow, or maybe you know that you can get under you and Shankar and learn to grow your LinkedIn presence, even just for example, so that you can reach more people. But you have to be willing to have that growth mindset to do it. And so, Shankar, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I know who Shanae is talking about, and it's really about getting your message out there as often as possible with as many different angles as possible, and just getting it out there. So many people are not doing it for whatever reason, or if they're doing it poorly. And of course, that's ultimately what we want to change, because it's just freeing people. When I think about what success means for me, I mean, it is doing what I want, where I want, with whom I want, and it is only possible because I can leave an impact on the world. But in order to leave an impact, people need to know about it. people need to know about it and need to know how to clearly communicate that on a platform that is powerful and has the right audience, which is LinkedIn, right? So definitely tell people about the challenge Andrea
Oh, yeah.
is coming
So,
up. And yeah,
while we're talking about
go
this,
ahead.
and it really, so go to ugrow.club or click our faces. Go to the URL that will take you to a landing page so you can sign up and you can understand and experience what we mean. It's really a personal development experience as well as it is actually you learning the techniques and having accountability and learning from Shanae and Shankar, who are working with people who are blowing up. And I think what I really want to hit home, if nothing else, so this is not just like a thought or an idea that I have. There's so many studies, and if you know of Carol Dweck, who is the one responsible for terming growth mindset, you'll know that there's studies that show students who embrace challenges and viewed failure as opportunities to learn significantly outperformed those who saw their talents as fixed. And so that should really shape your understanding of how our mindset shapes our past. And when I say be the greatest or you're the greatest, was there someone better than Muhammad Ali? There's always going to be somebody better or greater than you. But in your mind, you have to be the greatest. You have to believe in yourself and allow that to reinforce, to overshadow every failure that you've ever had. Because if you don't have this mentality where you know you're the greatest at what you do, or you believe and you're confident in what you do, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to take the jabs and the hits that come, because every dog has his day. And sometimes things just don't go as planned. But when you have the resilience that will lead you into stamina and you have flexibility, then I feel like you can outlast your competition, which ultimately is what Shanae and Shankar are talking about. And how to show up matters so much. I think that is important to your confidence, because you can feel like, well, I know what I'm doing. I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not getting seen. I'm not getting in front of the right audience. It has to be that, right? Unless you really suck at what you do. That's why I say there has to be competence. You have to, believe that you are good at what you do. Show of thumbs or hearts if you believe you're good at what you do. I hope that's everybody. And if you don't feel like that, maybe you are taking the steps working towards growing in that area. I'm not saying you have to be perfect at what you do. Yeah, I think we all have things we can work on, but drawing these parallels with athletes just helps me to understand there's always a way to overcome a challenge. And I just have to be willing to show up for myself, which is why you need to go and sign up and be a part of a challenge where you're held accountable for what you do, because sometimes that is just the blocker. It's not that you're not good at what you do or that you can't help people. You just need help showing up and being visible. So if you haven't gone to ugrow.club, GROWU please do so now and sign up. And that's Tuesday, December 19th at 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time for 4 days. You have the opportunity to grow. So I don't know if y'all have anything else you want to add. We're going to go into our affirmations otherwise.
Just a thought I had about redefining success. And this comes from a conversation we've had recently with someone. And, it's about how much revenue do you make in a year versus profit, and it's just the fact that you can make $1 billion in revenue and still lose money, right? So, and that reminded us generally to think about, well, what is a good metric, what matters, and for a lot of people that is the impact they have, especially when they reach a certain level of income. There's only so many gold watches you can have, only so many Lambos you can drive, and then the question is, well, what is the impact of people that you can have? What do you care about? And that is why our voice and our ability to communicate and convey that is so important. And everything that I have achieved is due to that ability, and especially to that ability on this platform.
You're right. And I don't know, maybe Shanae, Shankar, you have some thoughts around it. They talk about how once you reach a certain threshold, that happiness doesn't change, like in terms of revenue or wealth. But I challenge that because I think it has more to do with mindfulness than it does have to do with, I know what the statistics say, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. But you just reminded me when you said there's only so many Lambos and all of those things that you can buy.
Yeah. My opinion is that it is easier to find happiness because if you have the financial means, not because you can buy more stuff, but because you have more energy to make things happen, right? And you have more energy to impact people through your company or through whatever you choose to direct your money towards.
And you have more energy because you have money to buy better food, better water, better health care, consultants for peak performance optimization. I would argue that probably one of the most biggest factors of chronic stress is poverty, whether they want to tell you that or not. And or just living paycheck to paycheck. It's a chronic stressor. And yeah, I would say money buys happiness. It doesn't buy fulfillment. That's a different story.
That's a good distinguishing. Yeah.
But the only thing that makes me happier is being able to impact more people's lives, and that just becomes easier with more resources. So, always like when you hear these studies, like even the regrets of the dying, like what was the average income of the people that they surveyed in that study?
I feel like it's
what kind of impact did they have? No, seriously, what kind of impact did they have on the world? Because I would love to see a different study with like that same premise with like people that made over 100 million and see if it changed. Because usually those regrets would be maybe spend more time with family and also take bigger risks and do what I did sooner at a bigger level.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the happiest ever in my life right now, but I'm the richest ever. So, I mean, that's just kind of an unpopular opinion, but that's the truth. So,
for me, it's the journey to getting here on my personal growth that has given me that fulfillment. So I agree. And I think, so much of it has to do, again, with the business owner mentality and an entrepreneurship. You just think different. So this was a good discussion. We're going to, again, tell you to go to yougrow.club. Tell you to go to yougrow.club. Just check it out. It's 4 days. It's free. You get Shanae, you get Shankar, and that's for 4 whole days. You get to learn how to show up for yourself and for your community and take all of the mindfulness tips that you learned and hopefully just continue to expand and build yourself up. But I'm going to say just a couple of affirmations and close this room. Thank you for being here with us. We'll be back here again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Time. So just take a few breaths and repeat after me when you're ready. I grow through challenges. Each setback makes me wiser and stronger. Obstacles are opportunities to build character and expand my vision. I am resilient in the face of uncertainty. Every failure is a lesson and a blessing. I add value to the world through the work only I can do. I am the greatest at what I do. Again, thank you so much for being here. Another breath. Maybe give yourself a hug, release oxytocin. You can actually do that just by hugging your own self. Appreciate you for being here. See you around tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Time. Have a lovely, mindful day. Bye-bye.